I couldn't even believe this when I heard this. On Geekdom's video, he said that people that saw the preview for this week's episode, when you saw the one dude eating the cookie or whatever, he said that guy was Janemba.
I had the same back thought, but I was like, man, that is not happening.
That's come on, guys. Like,
I mean, it looked like almost from that preview in a sense, because if you've watched the Janemba movie, he got the teeth and the smile, like he played it. He played it, but it's not happening. It's not happening in this one.
It's not.
Oh, that's that good.
Yo. It's your boys. Brother Ooch. It's me. And we are the Full Power Podcast. Okay. All right, yes. We're back again once again. It's been a while. I know. Hope you guys missed us. We definitely missed you. What's going on, everyone? It's your boys, the Full Power Podcast, the gang, back in full effect here in the studio once more to talk more Dragon Ball Daima for you guys today. It's a pretty straightforward episode. We just got done reacting to episode 14 of Dragon Ball Daima. It was an episode.
Yeah. Nothing special,
to say the least, right? So yeah, nothing too special, nothing too crazy. So yeah, we're gonna get into it. There's nothing really crazy outside of that. Before we get fully into it, how are you doing today, sir?
All right. Got out of work, so just chilling now.
Word.
About a vibe for the weekend. Got that off day Monday.
Oh,
the holiday. So
what's the holiday? Martin Luther King? It should be MLK.
Yeah, it's MLK.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay, gotcha. All right. All right, sounds good. I've been, just trying to balance things a lot better. There's going to be some changes going on pretty soon for me.
Okay.
That'll affect everything else, of course. That's usually how it goes. But, yeah, I guess take that for however way you want to take it. But yeah, and outside of that, if you are on the Patreon page, if you are Thriving Ozaru, or if you're not and you're hearing this for the first time, definitely check it out. We have a lot of bonus content over on there. We got extra episodes, behind the scenes, and whatnot. So if that's a way you would like to support us outside of liking the video, if you haven't dropped that like already, dropped your comment, subscribed, and shared the video, then definitely head on over to the Patreon to become a Thriving Ozaru today. So let's get on with this episode 14 of Dragon Ball Daima. So this episode was a pretty straightforward episode. Episode 13 was actually not the greatest. It was one that was not on anyone's radar or nothing. No one had anything positive really to say.
Nah, Twitter was blank. That's how you know you're not missing nothing.
Yeah, so there was nothing of any sort of worth that was even worth bringing up in that regard, in the slightest sense. I mean, even listening to Geekdom's review, it was just he went through everything, but there was nothing to really take away. And even so, on a side note, once I can get this data back, because I had it's been a while since I talked about it, but I had a hard drive failure, so all the data on there was not that it was corrupted, but the hard drive itself was broken, so I had to get it fixed. And once I get it recovered, I'll be able to continue that project that I was working on, which is essentially an extended full cut of Dragon Ball Daima with no it just gets to the point, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking well, would I even include episode 13? Because it was a very nothing happening episode.
I don't really remember that like that.
Yeah, when you think back, and at the time of this episode, it's only been a week. It's it's been a week, and we're thinking well, what happened? Well, nothing did. So it's okay, well, it's kind of wiped away from our memories already. But yeah, so episode 14, they're on their way towards the warp sama that they are not aware at the time that is shut down. and that's obviously their only way to get towards that, to get towards the first demon world. So upon arriving there, they see it. They're like, oh, like what do we do? And then they see the shield portal looking things where last week we made predictions like, oh, they must have got into some sort of a fight. And when we saw Goku falling off, we're like, damn, like who'd he lose to? So I was like, okay, maybe 14 is going to be a little bit spicy. But no, it was literally just the power pole touching the shield. And it had some sort of electricity reactive response to being touched. And Pansy was a little scared because, she was like, if anyone touches it, you'll like...
Yeah.
Right. So it looked like Goku was like, he was going to fall into it. And then, of course, Neba comes out and he was like, all right, I guess I'll take down the shields, because it turns out that he's the one that put them up there. So the good thing out of this episode is that we did get lore. We got more lore on the Namekians and why they left in the first place. And it was basically due to the fact that there was an influx of travelers and people that were essentially like messing with how their way of living was. And I forget exactly how he worded it, but like the visuals that they showed were showing like all sorts of different races like pulling up, but like causing trouble. And like just kind of like imposing their own ways and like ruining how their whole flow of life was, which is like, it's a mirror of what it is in real life. It's very fucked up in a lot of cases, right? And so that is why the Namekians left in the first place, and that's also why he put the barrier shields up in the first place and imposed the warp samas so that travel was very controlled and it would like kind of not happen anymore. So I'm just like, that's really cool. Like there was a reason. It wasn't any like kind of like there weren't threatened. They weren't, it wasn't anything like that. And originally on site, I thought, oh, maybe it was the Gigith and the Megaths that were like causing too much ruckus. But no, like it seems like they're just peaceful creatures that just mind their own business, and they're like on their own little, I guess, planet within the second demon world where they're all just huge anyway. So it's like, it's fine. So that much out of episode 14, I guess, should be noted as worthy enough to, watch the episode 4, but it's not like anything else crazy happened and even though I'm a fan of like the Ginyu Force, the Pride Troopers, like the Saiyaman, we got yet another Power Ranger-esque team in the Gendarmerie Force. Okay, so shout outs to them. I'm gonna definitely applaud that. And I was very surprised to even get that even in a show like Daima, because I guess when you look back at I feel like almost every major Dragon Ball like sectum or like there is always gonna be some sort of superhero team. So it's like Ginyu Force was definitely like the first chunk of like Dragon Ball Z. And then like when Gohan became the Great Saiyaman, that was like the later half of it. And Dragon Ball Z is like the biggest chunk out of all of them. It has the most episodes that's how I'm going off of. But then like when you look at like Super, obviously we had the Pride Troopers coming in at the Tournament of Power, and then who am I missing? And then and then if I guess you want to count the Saiyaman X1 and 2, Gohan and Goten, or Goten and Trunks, they are in the manga as of right now.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we got that team. They're very comical. There's nothing serious. It's not anything that you would expect. I don't think they're gonna impose any kind of a threat at all. They're just there to just be another fight to kind of warm them up to whatever's really coming, which is probably gonna be whatever the actual big threat is. And so this is so yeah. And then there was a scene where we did get to see Majin Buu and Du in the same convenience store, and I was like, oh my god, that is a team up I never knew I wanted to see. I thought that shit was fire, but really it was just they were like going
Eating
through
chocolate
snacks
and
and eating
shit.
chocolate, and they were actually trying to do a good thing for them and buy them all this chocolate, but then they looked at their funds and they were broke, right? So that was kind of funny. That was like the major comedy segment of the episode. And then of course, like, the actual gang of Goku, Vegeta, and everybody else, they like go through the looks like a hole, like a wormhole. Like, what's crazy is, and did you watch the, it's funny because I got Godzilla in front of you. Did you watch the Godzilla Kong movies?
Not
Holy
all,
shit!
no.
First of all, I know you love them, but one of the plot points of that they were setting up in this new like Godzilla universe is that there's this thing called Hollow Earth, and what Hollow Earth is essentially like burrowed deep beneath our Earth's core, or not even the core. It's just the idea that there's life underneath us, and there's a whole no. It's basically like a whole nother world, right? And so when I saw them going through the hole that was covered by that shield, it reminded me of Hollow Earth, because essentially what happens in the Godzilla movie with Kong is that they discover that the entrance, they found an entrance and they go through it, and of course like they have to design this like special machine to like withstand the gravitational changes and shit that happens. But ultimately it's exactly like that. It's like you could look down and there's a whole nother thing down there, and that's actually where like Kong and a bunch of other humongous creatures and other types of humans came from, which is super dope. So that's what it reminded me of. I was like, yo, they're like going through Hollow Earth, except for the demon world there's like 3 of them.
Yeah.
So, or the realm, sorry. So yeah, so I thought that was sick. That's what it reminded me of. I'm sure like if you guys know what I'm talking about, you'll maybe make the connection there. But yeah, no, they're finally in the first demon realm, and like they started getting shot at, and from the preview it looks like they're just gonna be fighting a bunch of Gendarmerie soldiers, and most definitely the Gendarmerie force. But also in that preview, they showed Deborah. So what we were saying is that that's more than likely going to be just some sort of a flashback. But what kind of a flashback? Like,
Like what triggers that?
Yeah, like what kind of conversation is going to spark to even bring up Deborah at all? And maybe it's going to be a scene where we actually get to see Dabura having a conversation with Abura, his dad, because he was the original king before he was. So that's my thing, because like we saw Abura. We saw him in a statue form. We seen Dabura in a statue form. We seen Abra in like an image where they were like mentioning, or I don't know if he's in the opening. Or they mentioned him somewhere in one of the previous episodes. I can't remember exactly what, but we have seen him on screen in some way. So, do you have any idea like what the fuck they could even talk about or bring up Dabura for at all?
Not really. I mean, I feel like they already like brought him like in the picture like a couple episodes back, like,
Right.
when they were kind of starting out, in the demon realm in general. So I didn't really expect them to like bring him back in the picture, and I don't know what triggers that conversation or flashback. So it's like it's kind of weird, honestly. But it might have something to do with like I guess it really just it depends on who's in this episode.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't think like, unless they see a statue of him or some shit like that in the first round, which I don't think would happen. Or like they like I don't know what could really trigger, like maybe the Majin shit, like you know,
maybe.
like that's all I'm thinking about potentially, but I ain't really gonna go like deep thought about that.
Yeah. Excuse me. I like trying to think more about it. I mean, I guess this is kind of where excuse me, where you guys come in and tell us like what you might think could like even set up towards a Dabura mention or whatever. But it was really cool to see him animated in this Daima format right now. So the other thing that I left out in the reaction video that I wanted to talk about here is something that it's a stretch. And but it's a stretch, but it does go back to something that I already had said previously way before. And it is that when Goku was falling and Neba came out and he was doing like that Namekian chant and he was like, forming all that energy or whatever the hell he was doing so that he can break the shields. When he sent the second one down towards the first Demon World shield, I was like, Goku's still falling.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, I was like, I wonder if Goku got like touched by that shit on the way down. Now, why am I saying this? Well, because I still feel like there's gonna be a Super Saiyan 4. Like I have it in my soul. Like I know I have a feeling that we're gonna get that. Okay, it's gonna break the internet, right? And I'm always looking for shit like, how could we get there? And so we originally, before, like in previous episodes, we were talking about how like Neba is this legendary Namekian who clearly has a lot more power to him than what he gives off. And I think that he could be the reason why or how both Goku and potentially Vegeta get to become like unlock more of themselves, because it seems like he's able to do that. Like and when you look back at the Tamagami fights, Tamagami 1 like powered up on his own, which makes sense because he's the strongest one of the three. But for Tamagami 2, when Vegeta was fighting him, and Neba realized, it's like, they like to fight. Oh, I guess I'll help them out then, right? Because I'm gonna give them, a little, so that way everyone is happy. So he then unlocks Tamagami 2 to power up as well, to I guess give Vegeta more of a match, and then that's what pushed Vegeta to go Super Saiyan 3. So I'm taking all of that. And I'm like, and what I'm trying to cook up here is like, I really think Neba has that ability. Similar to Guru, where he unlocked the potential, I think it's going to be something along those lines where he's like, because the thing with Neba is, and it goes with his character, he comes off as this person that is old and senile, but he does it as an act. But really, this guy is full of knowledge and power, and he just knows mad shit. Mm-hmm. And with each episode that comes out, he keeps giving us a little bit more of his knowledge on what he knows and what he is capable of doing. Like, when you think back on his debut, no one knew that, I could just bring the Dragon Balls to me. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he did that. And then it's like, now you fast forward to now, and it's like, I'm the one that put the shields up. I'll take them down. It's like, bro, like he's out here with them to, of course, be a part of the experience, and to him, it's like a show. He's just getting entertained because, of course, I'm sure, God knows how long he's been down there just kind of lonely doing nothing. Now he's actually getting to see some action. And so just like with Zeno-sama, Zeno is always like, I'm trying to get entertained. Oh, Goku, you want to do this? Okay, boom. And then they get a good show out of it. So that's like, it's almost kind of like that in comparison. And so I think that Neba does know more on the Saiyans. I think that he is very well aware of their actual rooted origins. And one of the big reveals is going to be that, yes, the Saiyans are in fact also from the demon realm. And that there's this whole thing that happened, and he knows about it, but we'll find out about it later. But we might not find all that out until after he brings back their tails. Because I know that's what you're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible, I guess. I mean, if there's only 5 more episodes, technically, right?
Yeah.
If there's only 5 more, then they really gotta like speed it up. Like for that to like come true. Like I think the only way for that to even happen is if Neba sees that Goku Vegeta are like starting to struggle a little bit for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then, he helps them, unlock their true potential or something like that. Gives them that boost. And then whether that brings out the tails or not, and they're able to, go to that level, then I could see it kind of happening. Other than that though, it's a stretch, I guess.
It is a stretch. I'm well aware it's a stretch because like because what obviously like I want it to happen, and I'm just looking for ways for the context of the story for it to like I guess kind of like fall into place and just make sense. However, that would be crazy because again, Goku was falling down while he was doing this chant and spell and magic and all that, and then of course the thing got like unlocked, but then by that time, I mean, Goku already like kind of woke up from being stunned and he flew back up. But right then and there, that would be one of those moments where they would call back to and be like, oh yeah, remember when like you were falling and I was unlocking the shield? Well, you were in all of that. So in turn, I unlocked something within you too. Like, I'm like for story, like that's actually kind of like crazy. Like I'm hyping myself up for it, but even if it doesn't happen, I'm not gonna get mad because like that's something that I just came up with.
Yeah, the only way this is even still possible is if they can't finish the job with Super Saiyan 3, because whoever they're fighting, that's the final boss, is that strong or some shit like that.
Right.
Just because they're not in their adult bodies, blah blah blah. And yeah, I mean that's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we'll probably know if it's coming closer by like 17, 18.
Right.
Because that's like the final stretch.
Yeah.
That shit should not happen at episode 20.
I know. That would be crazy.
That should not happen at episode 20.
If episode 20 was when everything happened, that episode better be like an hour and a half long.
Like, I feel like for like an event like that, like a whole new transformation, Super Saiyan 4, blah, 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 like they got to give us at least like 2 episodes of that shit, not just like the final episode, So like by episode 18 to 19, if that doesn't happen, it's probably not happening in episode 20. You know what I mean? Like that's my thought process.
I think episode 18 is a pretty.
It's like there's a cutoff time.
That's a very good threshold to even have right there.
So,
okay.
It really just depends on what's given in these next 2 episodes. Because if we kind of figure out who the final boss is, like actually, by like 17, 18, then we'll know. Because then we can grasp like the strength difference.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, like that's a good way to put it. I just hope that because
we could even if that doesn't happen, the fusion can still happen.
That's another thing.
So it's like I think it's gonna be one or the other. I'm not gonna get both.
Yeah. We're gonna
getting both would be a fucking stretch.
Episode 15 on the surface, and this is the thing with Daima. Is that it's a show that we try to really make bold and heavy predictions off of those 5-second previews. But in all reality, every single time they haven't given us anything that spoils what will happen next week. Like we can make certain calls. But those calls never amount to much because then the episode comes out and it's like, oh, all this other stuff happened, right? Which is good, and I'm totally happy with that because like I think that's how shows should go in order to engage people and to keep people's interest and to like keep people on the edge of their seats and on their toes, because it's just like if you see any show and they give you a preview and you're just like, oh yeah, this is, and you lay out the whole next episode a week in advance, it's like, like I'm glad that Daima doesn't do that. Like Daima gives us little glimpses of random parts. Like, dude, last week, and I couldn't even believe this when I heard this on Geekdom's video I think it was during his live stream he was doing. He said that people that saw the preview for this week's episode, when you saw the one dude eating the cookie or whatever, he said that guy was Janemba.
I had the same like back thought, but I was like, man, that is not happening.
That's come on, guys. Like,
I mean, it looked like almost like from that preview in a sense, because if you've watched the Janemba movie, he got the teeth and the smile, like he played it. He played it, but it's not happening. It's not happening in this one.
It's not. Like, and I will say this again. I said this on one of our live streams. I said, guys, don't want something to be repurposed into other shit where it will effectively diminish that character. Like, so what I'm trying to say is that, like, it's okay to want Janemba. I would love to see Janemba, but I want it done right. Like, I don't want it to just be some foot soldier look-alike and being like, oh yeah, look guys, that's Janemba. Like, how lame is that? Like, that would be such a, like, that's a low blow.
Mm-mm.
And then what? You're gonna be excited, happy with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, no, like, I would not want that at all. So yeah, I definitely did not think that. Not even in the back of my mind. I was just like, dude, that's a character we just don't know. And it turned out I was right on that, at least, because it in fact was not Janemba.
Yeah.
And when Geekdom was talking about it, he was like, bro, I can't believe like people really just they point to anything and they're just like, oh my god, that must be what it is. It's like, nah, bro. Like, I get it. Trust me. Dragon Ball really brings out a lot of excitement in fans. Naturally, we all want to see a lot of different things, but you gotta want those things to happen properly. And I don't know what that really looks like, but I you would think for a character like Janemba, he's gonna get a lot more pomp and circumstance, and like, it's a character like that, you're not just gonna throw in just for the sake of doing it. And speaking of throwing in, like, it's official. At least I would think so. There's no way Gohan is coming into this. Like, we're way past that.
Why would he come?
Because again, there's fans out there that are still holding out hope. Stop. They're holding out hope that Gohan will eventually just get involved. They're way too deep into this story, and quite literally way too deep into the demon realm. They're all the way in the first world already.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
He wouldn't know his way around, bro.
Dude, even with the shields being dropped, Kibito's not there. They don't have anybody that can teleport between the demon realm and the and universe 7. You know what I'm saying? Like,
There's no point to add him in at this point.
At this point, exactly. So here's what I think
It was never a thought.
never.
It was never a thought. Like, as soon as he didn't hop on that plane with either Goku or Vegeta, he's not coming.
No.
He's not coming.
The most I will give people,
Fucking Gohan fans.
listen, the most I will give people to look forward to is when all of this is done, and it's the prologue to all of this. Like, they defeat whoever, the third eye, blah, 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 gets defeated. They get wished back as adults. We don't know exactly if they're going to hold their memories on what happened, or if they're going to give some sort of, the whole memory thing, I think they're not going to do that. I think what's going to actually happen is they're going to provide some sort of, thing, I guess, to give everybody that's watching an exact reason as to why they don't do X, Y, and Z. So I'm leaving that open in case they do get Super Saiyan 4, or if they don't. But if they do, then yes, this would make way more sense. And this would also, this also covers like the whole Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta thing. And that one's a lot more easier to explain. But it's like, dude, they've had Super Saiyan 4 this entire time. Well, the reason why is because Demon World only type shit. Like, it's going to have to be something like that, where they do something like that, and even if they try to do it back on Earth, it's like, we just can't. Like, we have to be in a demon realm for that or something. Like, they're going to have to figure that one out wording wise, but that's essentially what I'm going for. And so with Gohan, the most we'll get is at the very end of the show and everyone's back. We'll be like, hey, Gohan. That's where you're going to see Gohan. On some, what were you doing? Oh, I was studying. Because at that point in the story, that's what Gohan would have been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if anything, we will see, I'll give you this. We will see Gohan in the midst of his studying, but with that teen Gohan look. Like everyone, like that's the Gohan that everyone loves, right? Like, from Cell Saga. We'll see him mid-studying, and then when the wish is reversed, then he'll just go right back to being like his older version. It's like, like what happened? That'll be how you see Gohan and Daima.
Maybe, yeah.
And that's it. Literally. Like, I truly am not gonna try to fan fiction work my way into a scenario that makes that realistically at this point in the story, like, dude, we are 5 episodes away from it finishing. There's no way. There's no way. Even with the pacing being as good as it is, there's zero way that Gohan's going to get involved.
I don't know how that's a thought.
Yeah, so
Skip that.
Ultimately, yeah, right now we are finally in the last realm or the last world. We are literally now have all 3 of the Dragon Balls in the same place. And now the few things that need to happen are there needs to be a wish that's going to be made. We're going to see what's going to go on with the third eye and see how that plays in. Who's going to get it? And if there will be any fusions, whether that's between Majin Buu and Majin Buu, making Majin Dooku, or if Goku and Vegeta are going to do it. And like I said this too, like if they do a fusion, that's a Majin Vegeta. I don't know. I don't know if they would go that far, but like I'm not saying he's gonna have the M. It's just they're in the demon realm. Whatever. It's a Majin type of fusion. It's a bug. I don't. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is there could be that, and then Super Saiyan 4 has to. That's basically that. Those are basically all the big things, and then to see like how it all like unfolds at the end of that. So,
yep.
That's basically all I got. This episode is going to be obviously a lot shorter than what you guys are normally used to, but we wanted to essentially extend what we were doing with the reaction discussion and just have it all up on here and then let you guys sit on all these thoughts and let us know yours in the comments, and then we can bring all of that towards the Daima post show so we can talk more about it in more detail with y'all live right here on this channel on YouTube. So make sure you are looking out for the schedule post and all that. And is there anything that you have left to say to the folks at home?
Just the regular stay fresh, stay clean, get yourself a nice fat cologne, couple sprays. That's it.
Okay, nice. All right.
Keep it
All right, cool. So at this point in time, I am gonna do this with my hands and shout out all of our Patreon supporters. So if you guys want to see your name right here, we're not doing the raps right now just because I'm like I feel like I have to every single other thing. I'm not like 100% yet, but once that my nasalness is taken care of and all that, we will go back to rapping the names. But again, if you guys are supporting over on the Patreon, then you have your chance to get your name featured on the empty episodes like so. I want to thank you guys for being here and being a part of this podcast and listening to us talk about Dragon Ball Daima. So we'll see you guys on the post show. It's been your boy, Ooch, the Lethal Iceman, Brother Ooch. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves. May the power take care of locked and loaded right here on this podcast. Stay safe, stay clean, stay on the hell inside, and we'll see y'all next time.